Well, now that Donald Trump has taken the presidency, thank God, right? One thing, the thing that I am the most excited about was getting rid of KJP, getting rid of the self-acclaimed historic figure, KJP, the liar press secretary. And man, I'm just glad she's gone. This is absolutely fantastic. I've watched all the press briefings with Karoline Leavitt, and she's an absolute beast. She is going to be a rock star in Donald Trump's cabinet. And I'm going to tell you, when Donald Trump won, one of the things I was most excited about was getting rid of KJP. She was an absolute disgrace to the position. Like I said, she's the self-acclaimed historical figure, whatever that means. I'm the self-acclaimed greatest guitar player in the world, even though I'm not. But, if we're just going to start, self-acclaiming ourselves, then I'm just going to say that. I'm the greatest guitar player in the world. And then to replace her with Karoline Leavitt, I mean, what a difference. It is astounding, the difference. Karoline Leavitt, she commands that podium and does it masterfully. And I've watched all of her press briefings, and I'm going to play a couple of clips from her first press briefing. And she's just an absolute monster. And I love the approach she's taking. She's calling out the liberal media on their bullshit and the lies. And basically, she has the, if you don't like it, there's the door. Get out. And I dig that about her. Absolutely fantastic. So let's play a clip here. We're going to play a clip of Karoline Leavitt here, the press secretary, and she is just absolutely killing it on this thing. She is fantastic. Watch this.
Both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
That is fantastic. That is something you would never hear KJP. KJP, yeah. I've already forgot her name. She's only been gone, a few weeks, and I've already forgot her name. KJP, right. That is something you would never hear her say like that. And the thing about KJP is she was a fantastic liar. She was actually, I don't know if she was better than Jen Psaki, but she was equally as good as Jen Psaki. But the thing about KJP is you could always tell when she was lying because she would look down at her podium and then her eyes would just start blinking 1,000,000 miles an hour. And anytime you saw that, one of two things is happening. Either she has no idea what to say or she's lying. And most of the times she was lying. And just for comparison, take a look at this.
On Friday, you stood here, though, and were asked about these documents issued by our count some 18 times. At that point, the president's lawyers had found these 5 additional pages of classified documents. So did you not know on Friday that those documents had been found when you were at the podium, or are you being directed by someone to not be forthcoming on this issue?
I have been forthcoming from this podium. What I said yes to was what the statement at the time that we all had, right? You all had the statement. And I was repeating what the council was sharing at that time.
Right, we had that statement, so we knew what was in it. But you also knew. Did you not know that?
I'm telling you, I just answered the question. I just said that I was repeating what the information that we had at that time, right? That you all had. I was confirming from what the special counsel had provided to all of you, and that we knew as well from here. So just to be very, very clear, and look. I've also been very clear about being prudent from here. I was also being very clear about being consistent from here. and not going beyond what is currently happening, right? And again, this is an ongoing, I also said this was an ongoing review that was happening with the Department of Justice, and as we know with the special counsel, I've been very consistent about that as well. And that's one of the reasons, your question to me is one of the reasons why we are being very, very careful and very mindful, and to not interfere here, and to make sure that the Department of Justice has their independence. Your question actually proves that, and that's why we're going to continue to refer you to Department of Justice and refer you to the special counsel or my colleagues.
And right there, she's lying. And you heard her say, we already had those documents. You already had them, but then you came out and you said the exact opposite. And then you can always tell when she's lying, because she looks down at her podium and her eyes start going a million miles an hour. And it happens over and over and over. And you can just her demeanor up at the podium. When you look at Karoline Leavitt, she absolutely commands the podium. KJP, she looks so out of place, it's not even funny. Let's watch another clip.
Substantive question. Yesterday, the White House Office of Management and Budget directed across the board freeze with some exceptions for individual assistance, we understand, to federal grants. It's caused a lot of confusion around the country among Head Start providers, among providers services to homeless veterans, Medicaid providers, states saying they're having trouble accessing the portal. Could you help us clear up some of the confusion, give some certainty to folks, and also how does that uncertainty service the president's voters?
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting. This administration, if you are receiving individual assistance from the federal government, you will still continue to receive that. However, it is the responsibility of this president and this administration to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. That is something that President Trump campaigned on. That's why he has launched DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, who is working alongside OMB. And that's why OMB sent out this memo last night, because the president signed an executive order directing OMB to do just this. And the reason for this is to ensure that every penny that is going out the door is not conflicting with the executive orders and actions that this president has taken. So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
And that's what I'm talking about. She knows exactly what she's saying. This chick is unbelievably smart. These people are asking her questions out of every direction, and she has an answer every single time. But it helps when you have a president who's not grifting like Joe Biden was, who's not pulling the wool over America's eyes like Joe Biden was. Donald Trump does A, she reports on A, and it's that simple. Joe Biden was doing God knows what, and KJP was just up there making shit up as she was going half the time. And again, in contrast, watch this.
Thank you, Green.
And watch for the eyes. Watch this.
The administration strongly criticized the media for clips showing the president appearing to be confused, freezing at times, and you called it cheap fakes, misinformation, disinformation. In one case, even implied that it was the product of artificial intelligence, calling it deep fakes. Do you have any regret over using that language?
Not at all. Not at all. And let me be clear, it was a certain part of the media. You can speak to this better than I can, a certain part of the media which was doing this. And look, independent, mainstream fact checkers in the press and misinformation experts have been calling out cheap fakes. And at the end of the day, they're fakes. That's what they were, targeting the president. They had said, the reporters and these misinformation experts said that this president was being targeted. And what we did was echo them. That's what we did. And look, we'll certainly continue to call that out. And the cheap fakes didn't come from me. I didn't coin that. That didn't come from this White House or this podium. That came from the media. They called it cheap fakes. And they said this president, President Biden, was being targeted on misinformation. It was purposefully being done to this president. And what we did is we echoed that. So I don't regret it at all.
And that is exactly what I'm talking about. First off, you saw the eyes. She looks down, the eyes start batting. She's lying. They weren't cheap fakes. Everybody knew Joe Biden was incompetent. What we were watching, because you got to remember, when all this came out, these were cheap fakes. People started releasing the actual video that they were calling cheap fakes. And everybody started releasing the actual footage that was shot. There was no cheap fake. And for her to have the audacity to come out and to say this president is being targeted more than Donald Trump, are you kidding me? This guy's been targeted for 12 years by the Democrats. And again, she has no idea what she's doing. She's so out of place, and she always looks incredibly uncomfortable up there, especially to be, a historic figure. She looks incredibly uncomfortable up there. And she's just a constant stream of lies come out of her mouth. Everybody knows those were not cheap fakes. It went everywhere. Joe Rogan was playing them. They were on every single podcaster who does the same thing that I'm doing. They were playing the clips. Fox News was playing the clips. Everybody was playing them except legacy media. They were the only ones not playing the clip that the Democrats were calling cheap fakes. And everybody else was like, no, here's the actual video. It's not a cheap fake. And yet she's going to go up there and lie about it anyway. And this is why I'm glad Biden's out. And this is why I'm glad KJP is gone. So we never have to listen to her lies again.